Well, welcome, everyone. Liverpool 12th man is here along with Nalante. Special blessing to have Nalante with us. Normally he's on the 9 to 5, but he is capable of being with us today. So certainly a blessing. Big up, Nalante. How are you doing today?
Yeah, all good, Tom. Hope you're good as well. And big up everyone in the chat. I'm sure there'll be more people come in. Scouse had them. Red Armchair, always a blessing, man. But yeah, others
Yeah,
are
yeah.
coming in.
Yeah. I know that I had to push back the start time once or twice just so we could try to get a panel together. But as long as we're here, as long as you're here, it's a party. So let's make it happen. Um, a lot to talk about today. There were some subjects I was going to maybe steer clear of, but I decided, you know what, World Cup is coming up. We're going to have a lot of people focusing or readjusting their ideas and thoughts onto that possibly. I know it's going to be wild for some of us on this side of the pond with that coming up. I'm going to have like some crazy travels to Mexico ahead of me. So we'll see how that goes and make sure I can get back into the country, I guess. You never know. And, it's good stuff, all the same. We got a fantastic show lined up for you because today, like I said, isn't just about transfer news. It's about maybe the future of the club. And we've got Bayern Munich trying to pry away, not shying away, trying to really try to pry away one of Liverpool's brightest young stars, Curtis Jones, facing perhaps the biggest decision of his career. I think it is certainly one that should be on our radar and reports surrounding Darwin Nunez that I honestly never thought we'd be discussing again, but we are. So it kind of brings a little smile to my face. And one of Liverpool's greatest modern cult heroes officially calling it quits, which is kind of crazy because he's so young. Considering, I mean, 31, I believe, is how old or something like that. He's so young, and it is. Um, but as long as he's at peace with whatever it is in his career, I'm happy for him. But beyond all those stories sits one question that connects every headline. That is, who is going to define Liverpool's next generation? That's why we've got myself, we've got Nalate, and we got yourself in the chat to hopefully fill in those blanks. And we have to look at a Liverpool team that now is going to be without Salah, that's going to have Virgil van Dijk on his last year, Allison on his last year of his contracts. Do we extend with those players? We obviously are going into a new era with our new coach, and the answer isn't as obvious to a lot of us as to what the future holds. And maybe that's exactly what makes this one of Liverpool's most fascinating summers ahead of us. So why don't we get into this? Before I do get into this first segment, I'm gonna ask Nalante, which topic are you most anticipating or highly anticipating for us tonight? What's got your ears burning?
All of them, really, man. I don't think there's one after the other. Let's get to it.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, all right. Well, every once in a while, another football club tells you exactly how valuable I think a player is. Sometimes it's Real Madrid because they've been going after all our players, despite the fact that a lot of us sometimes we don't rate these players. We don't rate them as highly as maybe the outside world does. And Real Madrid comes in, scoops up a free contract or the here or there. Barcelona every once in a while would go and usually pay heavily for our best talent. But today's Bayern Munich. Now Bayern don't chase players normally, not especially not for fun. They don't throw money around, hoping that something will like stick to the wall type situation. Um, when Bayern identify a teenager, it's because they believe they're looking at someone who could become one of Europe's elite. At least that's in my opinion. And that's why today's story is so significant because reports suggest Bayern made serious inquiries about Rio, only to find out from Liverpool that, let me make this position crystal clear, we're not interested. He's not available. He's not for sale. And to me, that says something. It says also it's reassuring. I know yesterday we spoke on the fact that apparently they had there was reports that he might even have had a personal terms agreement with the club, and that was concerning. But Liverpool aren't treating Rio like some academy player or some, like some of the other players that have come through our academy, like Clark or maybe even maybe future players like Kumas and the likes, or maybe even Morton. I would say better. But we've spoken on this show before about succession planning, and replacing legends isn't about buying the next superstar every single summer. It's about sometimes finding that gem from within your own camp. And Rio has enjoyed a remarkable breakout season. He's already represented Liverpool's senior side, earned recognition at international level, continues to attract admiration from some of Europe's biggest clubs. And that doesn't happen by accident. This kid has talent. We all know that. We all see that. The coaching staff speaks about it. We speak about it on the internet quite a bit. But does that automatically mean he'll be Liverpool's next great winger? Absolutely not. But where do we start to have a conversation with what kind of pathway towards being our left winger do we create? And what kind of pathway towards being our left winger do we not try to bring obstacles in front of him to prevent him from becoming that guy? I'll ask before I even go on with the segment here. I'll ask Delonte a quick question. Do you agree with that concept of not putting, trying to avoid putting players that could possibly thwart his progression? You know what I mean? Like, do you think some might say that, for instance, Lucho was moved on from because the succession plan was already in place. They knew that Cody could hold down being a left winger until Rio was ready. And if you sign a Lucho to like a 3-4 year deal, you're now severely limiting yourself to how and where and when Rio could become that left wing for us. But Malante, you there? Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. I think Nalante's still on there. All right, I'll save that question for Nalante then. I mean, it is something that I think of as being maybe the possibility of why.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I was just saying, like, do you? I was talking about the Lucho, how Lucho got into a Bayern Munich deal, and despite that, despite our interest and love for the way he played that role and everything else, that maybe if we had kept Lucho, it would have meant that Rio would have had a harder, more difficult pathway towards being our left winger. And I'll even ask you this question too. Do you think that he has to be our left winger? Apparently, I think he's playing the right wing for England.
Not really. Again, he can play left and he can play right. So not necessarily. I think the thing is, if Cody was on form last season, then you would have been less reduced. Rio would have been slowly jumped in. But the fact of the matter is, because people talk about FSG and sporting directors have say the club weren't happy. But at the end of the day, it's the manager's call, and obviously the club got high hopes of Rio. So I'm assuming that's why I didn't get anyone else in. But if Slot doesn't think he's ready or wants to play him the same way, then he's not. So, but
We're not
again,
Slot. It's not Slot anymore, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, Slot, and previously, when he was manager.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's potentially as good as potentially Rio will be, but good evening to Hyla, hope you well. as good as Reed, but the fact that we kind of at the end put our hopes in a 17-year-old, 16 to 17-year-old winger is kind of damning. And that's no disrespect to Rio. It's just the players were so bad that we put our hopes in Rio, which is not fair.
Mhm.
So this season, it really depends. I thought this will be this next season, this season coming will be the one for him to shine, but I still think we should just create with caution. It should be like, aka, let's say, Kirkus and Robertson.
Mhm.
So we'll start certain games now, but rest them on certain games. So we should get, the Diaz might have helped him to competition, but I think he does need competition. It just needs a rest back because at the end of the day, he's still young. He's still got time to grow, you know? So by the time he gets to 20, then you can just say, you know what? Or maybe before that, you can just say, you know what? You are first team choice. And then whoever's behind you is behind you. So, and yeah, like I said, he's flexible, left, right. So, but it really depends what Iraola does with him. So, but the way it's looking like, again, it remains to be seen when we come to pre-season, we come to July, who we have, who's in the squad. But it's more looking like he will be the starting player. But again, let's see. We don't know that yet. But let's see. Let's see.
Well, so what would you, just hypothetically, what would
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
done in if you were, let's say you're like Ensman and you're a Barcelona fan, right? And what would you have done uh with uh with Lamau, with your Mal? What would you have done with your Mal? Like, what would you? I promise you've seen him, like as in he's starting to get attention from the international team. He's
Mm.
obviously like as in what would you have done with him?
Well, now, well, Lamau, obviously, I mean, Barcelona are a different entity in terms of players. Which are one thing I like them, they give the players the chance. They let them progress, whether mistakes or not. And
Mhm.
with Lamau, again, he's got to a point where now he's clearly the first in his team, but you rest him. You don't play him every week. You rest him for certain games, you know.
Mhm.
'Cause again, as good as he is, again, he's still young, but you
Mhm.
just have to be careful with him in certain cup games, certain league games. And again, I know it's off topic. It's like with VVD. At this point, he doesn't need to play every Premier League game. Again, you
Right.
play the certain games that you don't need the Lamau. The squad should be good enough. But of course, when you
Mhm.
get to the big games and that, so it just, you play the majority, but you rest them at key points. That's what I would do.
So, um, would you have would you have said the same about Barcelona doing the the implementation, like impacting their team, or trying to bring in their team, Yamal? Would you have suggested to them, don't put all of our hopes on a 17-year-old? If you were, this is, I know you're not a Barcelona fan, like, but I mean, like, as in just in the sense of they're a big time club. They're playing in Champions Leagues. They're playing in all four competitions that they have the opportunity to play in. And Yamal is playing quite a bit. He's made like I think he played in like 28, 35, 37, like as in like he's playing in a lot of matches, you know. Some can say that, I know the pushback normally is, well, we don't want it to go the route of Michael Owen, because we've had a 17-year-old, like, again, Michael Owen, playing in a role for us in a very difficult position against, boys versus men type situation, it seems like. And and some say that that's the reason why his career went the direction it did. We're also talking about a Ballon d'Or winner. Like, what is the sensitive balance that you take when trying to bring about a player like that? Just like you said, you want to bring him into the line slowly, but if the guy's playing, do you maybe just say, hey, let's just keep it going?
Yeah, I guess so. That, but again, like Owen, you play them often, they pick up more injuries, and Lamal's picked up quite a few injuries. the last year and a half. That's the problem, and obviously the World Cup is just about made it for the World Cups, and that's the thing. So you have to look. It's not the old days, 70s, 80s, where there's 14 to 15. You only have 3 subs. It's now a 23-man squad, so you need to use the squad to the best of your ability, and that is the key. Like I said, you don't need to be starting every game. You can start the majority, but other games you just need to just let him rest him or put him on the bench if we need him. We need him, So yeah, so that's what I would do, because you do that, then you can get the best out of the player, and maybe you can reduce the amount of injuries also.
Well, I definitely think that Rio, and this is something that I think everyone agrees with, Rio has definitely enjoyed a remarkable breakout season. He has, like I said, he's representing England. I think we're going to talk about some little obscure ruling that is preventing him from going on and playing the World Cup. But I just don't think this happens by accident. The coaching staff clearly believe this young man possesses something special. Whether it was Slot, whether it was obviously the sporting directors that brought him in. I'm trying to think of I don't think Hughes was who was the sporting director at the time who brought him in. Do you remember?
Rio.
Was it Schmacky?
Rio. Or was it Ward?
Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah. Look up. Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know. I think Schmacky was out by then. Richard Hughes Richard Hughes brought Rio to the team. It seems like.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So as much as I have been I want to make sure I give him proper praise for it, because that was a good move, obviously. But yes, the coaching staff obviously believe in him. It doesn't mean that he's going to be our next great winger. I understand that, but football history is definitely, just as Nolante has pointed out, it's littered with teenagers who look destined for greatness before injuries or confidence or opportunity changes everything. I think Liverpool's response tells you a lot about what we believe Rio's future is going to be. But here's another interesting angle. If Liverpool generally see Rio as their long-term solution on the left, then perhaps this changes how they approach the transfer market altogether. Maybe they don't need another expensive winger on the left. Maybe the succession plan has already begun, and I get that takes confidence. It takes a lot of boldness. It takes patience. I don't know if it's going to take a lot of courage for Iraola to believe, just as Nolante was saying, that we can trust a 17-year-old as the left winger. But every manager wants results today. Developing teenagers usually doesn't bring the kind of patience from us as supporters. But if Bayern Munich walked into Anfield tomorrow with £120 million evaluation, and they said, "Here's 120 million. We want Rio," are you rejecting that immediately?
I'm saying thank you very much. Give me Leonard Cohen as the deal.
Wait, who you want to swap deal? Who you including?
Yeah, Leonard Cohen. That's the little one they picked.
Yeah, that's the young German. They're really believing in.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason with Carlo, I have like Foden kind of vibes going on with him, but we'll see. He is a good player, though. He is a good player. So 120 million, you're saying no. You're saying 120 million. You're still saying I want that plus more.
Yeah, give me that and then a call. And yeah, take care, Rio. Actually, you know what? No, you can go actually. 100, you give me 120 mil for Rio. Take care. See you later.
Okay. Let me see what I'll bring the comments back into it. What's the comment section saying? What's the audience saying?
At the moment, I'll just put about Rio because some about other players. So
Mm-hmm.
this is for Red Arm supporter. Thinks he do well.
Mm-hmm.
The Iraola. I'm just looking at for the Rio comments.
150, 120 million. I said right. 120
Yeah,
million. Are
120
you
mil.
are
Yeah.
you taking that deal for 120 million? Red Armchair supporter says no. I got you. All right, 120 million. Wow, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I remember when 120 million was a lot of money actually in this league.
Yeah.
It's sometimes around the beginning of negotiation mark for some of these players. Yeah, I mean, he's got the potential to be even worth even more than that. That's the thing about him. I agree. Like as in, he continues to. If he were to have the privilege and to have gone to the World Cup, we would have probably saw that evaluation blow up even more. But do you think that do, is Liverpool? I'm trying to figure out how the best way to fashion this question. Has Liverpool's confidence in Rio change your opinion on signing another left winger for this summer? Or should Liverpool
Mm,
still be active in the market for a left winger?
I think so because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen with Gakpo, and if Gakpo stays, again, it's hard now. Right? Iraola's there. Maybe he'd be covering up front more times. So we do need another winger. We need to definitely.
Hmm.
We definitely need to. Either way.
Yeah, it's one of Iriola's first major development decisions.
Yeah.
Do you double down on trying to make Rio the guy, or you know, too little football? Maybe Rio starts to stutter a little bit. 120 isn't enough. Oh wow. Okay. Wow. That's bold. That is bold. He's 17 years old. We we will not 120 million is not enough, but yet 120 million for a player like Jan Diamante is too much. Is that how it is?
Yeah, he better not. But yeah, I mean, I like I like the amount to be scanning for before anyone else knew. But
Right.
yeah, the price it's not. It should be. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit way too much over top for him. I definitely can admit that.
How about this? I'll say you could say it in the chat. Would you sell Rio for 120 million? You say yes, you say no, or would you only sell him with a buyback clause, or there is no price that is making you move? You can tell us at some point. You can say that, or if you want to tell us in the comment section, you can tell us in the comment section after the show. But I think that speaks volumes about our academy. I understand that this wasn't a gem that was unearthed from Liverpool or from the young 12, 13 year olds or whatever age some of these players come into the academy. But he was a player that saw a pathway through the academy. And I'll say one player that definitely saw a pathway through the academy and one player that utilized that pathway was Curtis Jones. And he's no longer viewed as potential. He is someone that has shown and proven ability, if you ask me. Now, Curtis Jones might not be the most coveted player by everyone in our fan base. I get that. Most people say he holds onto the ball too much, or he needs to be more assertive. But it's not. I don't think people say this because supporters don't like him. There's a big difference, I think. I think everyone wants Curtis Jones to succeed, I think, or for the most part, everyone wants. There's always a hater in the bunch, but everyone wants him to succeed. The debate comes from one simple question, though. Has he become the player we thought he would? Do you think that he's reached the potential or is still gaining momentum with his potential and with his abilities, Nalante? Do you think he's still on track? And if so, do you even think he has a ceiling, or maybe that he's reached the ceiling?
Um, it's hard to because he came in with a bang. He's playing for the Antones. Steven Gerrard told him about proving this game, which he did.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
came with a bang. We know with the goal against Everton FA Cup, the winner. And it's weird. He stopped start. He had little niggles. When he's had a run of games, he's been quite good. And then he has one bad game and he's dropped. So when he's in and out of the team, he's too inconsistent. Last season, obviously, again, same thing, in and out of the team. Slot didn't really play. He played on one or two games where we got battered, and he was in and out of the team. He was never the first choice. And then at the end, he's been playing right back, and he's done as best as he could. But again, he's not a right back.
He's
He's not a
not.
right back.
He's not.
So it's difficult. But I think if he is staying, now's the time. He really has to turn up, man, because he needs to take the game. He's still, but there's still inconsistency with him. So I'm just still. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't mind him. It's with him. It's like I don't mind him staying, and I'm not bothered about him going. So that's where
Mm,
we're at, which is not a great thing.
but either way, I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Reports continue linking Jones with Inter Milan. There's been even some reports about maybe still there's some lingering reports about maybe Tottenham's going to get back involved into the mix. But Liverpool are said to be reluctant sellers rather than completely opposed to a move. I guess like that means do they invest or believe in the scouts in the team? No, that's obvious because rather than doing what they're doing with Rio, they're saying, well, if the right offer's there, maybe we'll move. And especially since the player wants to possibly entertain that. I guess the wording matters because, like I said, reluctant means doesn't mean not available, not unavailable. Reluctant means that to give me a good price and we can talk. Um, but I still think Liverpool value Curtis Jones in that it's got to be still a good price. We're not moving off of the off. We're not moving away from the player for chump change. I know everyone knows, or at least some of us believe that being a local matters. I think it does. The whole he's one of our own type situation. He's lived the dream every Liverpool supporter imagines as a kid, I would say, to play for to not only play for your team that you love, but to play for your hometown team. That's a whole different level of like dream status. So players always receive a little extra patience, I think, when you're emotionally connected like that. I think they should in this town of Liverpool. And football eventually becomes about production. We get that. And I guess that's where some of our opinions begin to split on Curtis because some see him as being intelligent, having football intelligent, being smart with the ball. Some see ball retention, press resistance, technical quality. Others see inconsistency. Player flashes brilliance, but hasn't completely locked down a starting role despite multiple opportunities simply because he's either he is a niggle or he'll end up getting um, you know a player that just shows a better connection to the position. And that's why this new coach is going to be very interesting. Completely different manager, completely different tactical system. One that's built. I want to make sure I understand. I get this point across. I do not think that Iraola is a carbon copy of Jurgen Klopp, but I do think that his system does have some strong resemblances of what it means to be heavy metal football. And guys are talking about Rio still, and um, and I think maybe that now Curtis has gone through the whole under Klopp, learning to play press and defense, and learning to become ball, press resistant, and now learning a system where you're asked to be more possession based. Maybe having gone through those two systems, maybe going back to something similar to the Klopp era, we can see the best out of Curtis. And that's a real question. I mean, like, it's a question of do we show patience for Curtis, or do we cash in now? And I don't think the number is what it is to be moving forward with the transfer. Like, as in, the number I've heard is like 20 million or something like that. It's in that range. Like, what number do you think Curtis Jones is worth, Alante? What number? What? And I mean by transfer wise, he's priceless, of course, but
I think 40 million would do me.
40 million.
Yeah, 40 mil. Yeah.
What would you guys in the chat move Curtis for? What number would you have to see for you to move Curtis on? And keep in mind, Inter Milan are most likely not coming out of their pockets with 40 million pounds for Curtis. At least I don't think they are.
Nah, they won't, because they're telling they haven't got the money like they did once before. So they want to try and scrape as cheap as possible, all loan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So 40 million is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is 40 million is what you think is market values it should be?
About that.
What if Spurs come along and they say 40 million? We got that.
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to go, then yeah. Every player has a price.
But I'm saying, is that Liverpool's price? It's not in a matter of, does he want to go? He might say let's say he's open to stay, he's open to go. It's just a matter of, like, if it benefits Liverpool to the tune of something worth their while. Like, he doesn't want to leave them like Trent Alexander-Arnold or Kanate, or a lot of these players have been leaving the team lately with nothing to show for the talent that we're giving up.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just all depends on what he wants to do, really, and that's it, really. I mean, yeah, no, I get it, guys. Yeah, okay, no, fair enough. Like Rio Charlie, 55 mil if he's under a long contract, and I know he's got the 1 year, so we're not going to get. There won't be a 40 mil, but 25 maybe at best, maybe. I think some depending on him or Inter Milan, yeah, 25 at best. So, I mean, if he wants to go and he wants to go to Inter, then, God, I don't know, because I think England is the strongest one for him.
Well, then, if Curtis leaves, hypothetically, the numbers met, who replaces him? Who replaces what he brings?
Adam Wharton. Yeah.
But you're going to have to pay a lot more than 25 million for Adam Wharton.
You do, but he's an upgrade in terms of a player from Curtis Jones.
Interesting. Chat, do you agree with Nolante?
Yeah,
is Adam Wharton the upgrade over Curtis Jones? And is he the upgrade that we need to make? Or do you believe that Curtis Jones is sufficient to be a Liverpool player? Liverpool are approaching some crossroads. We all said that many a times in many of these other episodes. Every transfer window isn't just about new arrivals, obviously. Um, big up, Ottoman Turk, big up.
Yeah, big up man Turk. Nabiyan. Adegution. Tamam. Oteman. Tamam.
Okay, I didn't know you speak Turkish.
Got a few Turkish people, boys. So
Okay.
yeah, don't worry, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Kurt Jones may be one of the biggest decisions of the entire summer. Maybe him making that decision might be big because, again, he's a player that speaks of our identity, speaks of major um, ramifications for our team going forward as to like players that we can rely on to cover or to provide some essence of what we need, those intangibles, I guess you could say, is what I'm trying to look for the word. Um, I don't know. It's a big question. Big question mark. Um, the other segment that I had lined up for us was um, obviously we had a managerial vacancy and we ended up um, getting a manager. Hey, first off, do you believe he's a manager or a coach? Let me ask you that question too, real quick.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the last bit. What was it, 12, about the coach?
Is he? Do you think he's a manager or a coach? Do you think Iraola is a manager or a coach?
Oh, manager
He's a manager.
for me.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's a manager for me.
Okay. I know that word has become. There's been different definitions for that word now that have been associated with a coach as someone that kind of like, um, is just there to coach the team, and then there's a manager who's there to manage the players, the egos, all the different, the whole likes, even maybe getting involved in some of the choices that you make with the team. But there was like a report that I saw that showed how we landed our coach, how we got the coach into our squad. And when Liverpool appointed Iraola, the immediate reaction I saw from many supporters was optimism, was curiosity. It wasn't outrage. It wasn't anger. Um, it wasn't necessarily universal excitement. When I say curiosity, it's somewhat reason why I know I was on the Fam Zone and like with Dean and Reese and KJ a week ago, and Dean was trying to press me for a reaction to the appointment. He kept saying, "Oh, are you excited? Or he's like, what do you think about this appointment? Blah blah blah. Like, what do you think? Where do you think?" He kept pressing me for where I think Liverpool are going to end up next season in the table. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm reserved to see. Let's find out how soon and how quick these players can connect, how they can click with this manager. And replacing expectations is something entirely different, I think. Like, as the report suggests, Liverpool weren't alone in wanting Iraola. Apparently, Chelsea were interested in him. Other major European clubs were monitoring the situation, which immediately changes the conversation. This wasn't Liverpool settling for a manager. This was Liverpool entering a race for a manager and putting in the legwork to chase him down. And that matters because I think that it'd be one thing if we were just, oh, there's no one else left, so we have to pick this guy or something like that. That would be a major difference. But it also tells you that Liverpool's decision makers believe they've secured one of football's brightest coaches. And I think that Hughes always believed in his coach, obviously, since the Brighton days. But the challenge begins. Replacing Arne Slot isn't simply about changing formations. It's about changing belief. It's about restoring belief. It's about convincing a dressing room, a fan base, the football world that lives and breathes Liverpool football. What do you think is going to be the hardest thing to win back? Is it going to be the dressing room, the fans? Is it proving himself to the board that he is the right guy? Because I mean, I know this whole 2-year contract is supposed to be related to him saying, you know, I'm willing to take a short-term contract to show you that I am the man. Immediately, you'll see results.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's everything what you said, really. To be honest, again, expectation and for like I said, he was wanted and players that happen. I think you could have for and big up AR in the chat, goal ratio. Some of the others that joined, Mark A889. Yeah, some good people. At Free Eye Charlie. Yeah, big up everyone that's in the chat and go like, share, subscribed because putting the hard work. You heard? But look, in terms of Iraola, look, I know my choice, and I was arguing with someone about it, which again, on Christ's time, my first choice was, realistically, in a realistic way, was Emery. I think Emery's a better coach than Iraola, regardless. But anyway, that's not the point now because what's done is done. But I think you could have got both. You could have done the head coach manager position, and everyone would have been happy. They would have been satisfied because
they wouldn't have been happy. I already know that.
It's a breath of fresh air. Obviously, it's different. It's paid well, but my things, and again, I'm just being cautious. Everyone's overhyping it, saying, "Oh, we're going to go back to this." Then he does this and this, that, but nothing is guaranteed. It's still a risk because he's done well at his clubs, but Liverpool is another level to Bournemouth. It's like 3, 4, 5 levels.
Mm-hmm.
We're big dogs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are the big dogs. We go for titles. So this season obviously will be his transitional season. What will be will be. If we finish 6th, if we finish 5th, whatever. So be it, as long as he implements his style. But the season after that, that's when he has to put his foot down in the middle. So we'll see. And he's got some good thoughts, but it's a lot. How's he going to deal with European football? How's he going to deal with Wednesday, Saturday, with bigger squad, more players? That's all question marks of Iraola. As good as he is, good coach he is, it's a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see. Now, of course, I hope he does well. Because he wasn't my first choice, but I've got no problem. I hope he does well. But we just have to see. He's going to get time with players, who he likes, who he doesn't. But it'd be interesting, but we'll see. We'll see. But any supporters in the chat or anything expecting us to be rock and roll and etc. stuff like that, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It's we probably have to give him about a year's grace. Even if we finish 15th, 16th, and I know I'm over talking it, but it's gonna take him time a season to implement what he needs to do.
What is the bar that you're setting for expectations? Because I know he's inheriting enormous expectations, especially considering he's only got a 2-year contract. He's got a sporting director and I forget what Edward's official title is with the club, but like
head of global recruitment or something like that. Something along with that, yeah.
He's got people that can call the shots that are on 1-year contracts, so they have even less job security than. Go ahead. You saying something?
No. Go on. I was listening. No.
Oh,
go
okay.
for it. Yeah.
But he has 2-year contract. What is the bar for him next season? Because obviously he's not a manager that's trying to take a Bournemouth team into Europe. He's a manager that has a Liverpool team that obviously we backed our way into Europe, but still we're in the Champions League for next season. I'm hoping, and when I was pressed for an answer, I said something simple as, I believe next season we should compete and possibly win a domestic cup. I believe that we'll see possibly the commitment and the return in a most likely a League Cup, but possibly I would love to see us win an FA Cup next season. start to catch up on those numbers when it comes to the silverware count. And that's fantastic if we were to win a League Cup or if we were to win an FA Cup. But that's not the bar. The bar is winning the league, winning Champions League, winning both, if anything. And rounding out and getting a fifth place finish, or just missing and going into maybe into who knows, or maybe fifth place doesn't get you Europe next year, or doesn't get you Champions League at least. Maybe a fifth or sixth place gets you Europa, and if that's the case, those are different settings. Where's your bar for him next season?
Definitely Champions League top 4, top 3 with a cup. That's what I expect next season. If he doesn't get a trophy, he's got to be minimum at least top 3. I mean,
He's got to be top 3 in the league.
If he doesn't get a trophy, but if not, a trophy and just Champions League, so 4th or 5th, I accept that.
Okay, so it's a trophy in top 3 basically is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it's the title or obviously if it's a title or if it's or it's Champions League, that's fantastic. But it could be top 3 and a League Cup. That'd be okay for you.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
First season, yeah. No problem.
He's gonna have some difficult conversations. I'm excited to see what he does with the development of Rio, but I'm even more excited to see if he gives Trey Neone a actual run this season. I think it's about time we see Trey Neone and really focus on his development as well. I think that Trey and Rio could be 2 players. They're best of friends. You could be looking at something very similar to like the Owen Gerrard path towards greatness. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to definitely be the next legends of this club, but I mean certainly there was a time when Stevie and both Owen were seen as the future at least. So I'm very interested to see that. And what's interesting too is because Trey was looked at as before Rio, Trey was the big talent that we had in the youth academy that was going to develop. Klopp believed in him. He even played him in games. I think he's the youngest player, or at one point he was the youngest player to play in for Liverpool.
Yeah. People sleeping on Trey.
I think people are. I think people are.
Yeah.
I think some people think that he needs to obviously, bulk up, maybe get a little bit more physical status, but it is what it is. Wait, take 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah, cool. I'll put some of the comments on. Big up everyone in the chat. AR, all of you, man. I'm just going to put some of your comments up. Let's go the Iraola. And I hear what you guys saying about the coach thing. He has been a manager. I have to correct you that, Ilo, but I know some titles are head coaches, but listen, they're always going to be managers to me.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to be managed to me. I don't care about the titles because they are a manager. It's just the wording. You know what I mean? So that's what I don't like. And I think as well. I mean, I don't know if you. Well, I'll say the other one at the end of the show. I'll keep it in my head. But the first one is for you yourself, 12. Let me ask you a question and the chat. Do you think Iraola was just an easy choice from Hughes and Edwards? Was it just as simple, the easy choice?
I think there's more. I definitely think there's more involved in it. I think that the fact that he has history with him definitely impacted his choice. But I would go as far as to say that he is. I think the fact that he knows that Iraola, I believe personally, is I don't know if he's as much as a yes man as Slot was, but I don't think that he didn't have obviously any issues or problems with um, the players that were sold off, and he didn't, yeah, as in like the team sold some very valuable players, and it wasn't like Iraola was like, oh, he's got to stay with the club, or this player's got to stay with the club, or this is my line in the sand. I think though some of what you're saying is true though. I think it was an easy choice for him.
Yeah, fair play. No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What do you think convinced Iraola that Liverpool was the right project for him? How about that?
Yeah, but I don't think Liverpool was hard to be sold to Iraola, if I'm honest. I mean, going up to Bournemouth, leaving Bournemouth, any club would, like, big club would be easy. So yeah, I don't think it's that hard to sell him. Just coincidentally, who's for me. Yeah, I'll just put some of these comment out about it quickly. 12.
Hmm.
Ilo there says that Iraola was the obvious choice. Well, yeah, I mean, obvious, maybe. Well, obvious to Hughes. Well, again, obvious. I'll call it easy choice for me, but Red Armchair said Enriquez is happy with Iraola, so yeah, he's happy. Fair enough. And big up AR says it's the easy and quick choice. They went straight for Iraola just because he had left his role, but few more candidates for the role. I agree, AR. Big up yourself. I agree, but we are where we are now, so we just have to support him and hopefully he does well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes managers choose clubs because of money.
Yeah,
Sometimes they choose it because of prestige. Sometimes they generally believe the project fits their football philosophy. For instance, which do you think was the reason why Iraola joined Liverpool? Not vice versa, but why do you think he joined Liverpool?
I just think he likes the Premiership. He he. So, you guys in the chat 12. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Big up, Zuby.
Zuby Wooby. Dr. Zuby's in the house. Big up. Look, I just think. Oh God, I've lost my train of thought. What were we saying again? Sorry.
What was the reason he chose Liverpool?
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah. Personally, I just think the fact that he wanted to stay in the Premier League, and of course because of his stock, he wanted to move to a big club. He likes the Premier League, and Liverpool just has a lot of historic. It's a big club. It's a fantastic bug now. Again, Chelsea. I always linked with Chelsea United. If those two teams were available, let's just say that maybe would have gone. That we don't know. Who knows? But I think the historic Liverpool being in the Premier League and what this team is just kind of sold him because obviously as soon as AC Milan and Crystal Palace and there's someone else when they talk to you, but it's weird because he must have knew something that we didn't because Slot was still in the job and he's waiting for, and then he said he's waiting for the Liverpool job. So obviously he must have got a heads up saying, look, we're about to sack him before it all came out public.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something he probably knew.
What do you think is? Oh, no, finish your statement. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say there's something that he probably knew before he's brought out to the public, and he was saying he's waiting for the Liverpool job. So
What do you think's the single biggest decision he has to get right this summer? Is it transfers? Is it player development? Is it replacing leaders? Is it maybe even simply winning early to earn supporters' trust? What do you think? What do you think is the biggest thing he has to get right?
I think,
Is it one of the if not one of those things, maybe you have another of your own, but
yeah, I think with the team, if the team is playing well, got a certain play, I think us fans will patient. So even if we lose, we don't start all that. I think they'll give him a bit of great grace. I think the play development is the key for me. Whether it's academy or the players we have in the books, to see how these guys will develop and see they'll come into the space. Because again, and not to mention the name that's gone slot, but a lot of these players, a lot of fans, I don't know in this chat, I'm not sure. Apologies, chat, if it's none of you, been other Liverpool streams, gave the players a lot of leeway and put the majority. None of them really blame the players, and these players have got quite a lot to blame. These players have to step up next season because some of them they definitely checked out. Now you can say about slots play or such stuff, but I can guarantee playing on a football pitch semi-pro, there's been times I've played where a manager has given the player instruction, he doesn't play to the T. He doesn't play to the instruction. So these players need to step up because they were horrible. As bad as Slot is, they were horrible, but they really need to show us what they are. Otherwise, they can go, and I don't care who it is.
okay. We have JK with us as well. Big up,
Hi
JK.
there, bro.
How you doing?
I'm
Yo,
good, bro. Yes, Nante. How you cool, bro?
JK, my boy from my brother, as I always say, Lord of mercy,
Lord of
JK.
mercy, bro. It's true what Nalante was saying, I think under the Klopp regime, it was hurt if a player left. With this slot regime, I didn't care if anyone went. It's like, I don't know, I think we're going to a new era now about players and stuff. I'm not so attached to players like I was used to. Hence, I'd start McAllister and some bots by tomorrow. That's no problem.
Yeah.
And even if someone said to me 200 for Rio tomorrow, I'll be like, okay. Because for me, you never know if he went downhill after today. We don't know what his future is going to hold. He's just a prospect and a talent. He's worth a lot of money, of course. But if someone said it 200 million, bro, that's a no-brainer. Like,
How about 120 million? That was my question earlier in the show, so I'll make it that for you as well.
seems a bit tad low because he could be worth 200, doesn't it?
200 is one thing, but 120 is chicken feed, huh? I got you. Okay. It is something, though. It is something to worry about. What is the biggest decision? I'll ask you that. What is the again? I asked him that, Latte. That I'll ask you. What is the biggest decision? Is it transfers, player development, replacing leaders, or winning early to earn supporters' trust? What do you think is the biggest decision he's got to get right?
For winning is everything, because when you win, everything's sort of taken care of then. You know what I mean? I think if you're losing games, that takes a lot of spirit out of the team, players, fans, especially. So winning is number one for me. Okay. If he wins all season, it don't really matter how he does the other things. You know?
Mm-hmm. I get you. Well, it's interesting where we go with this. First impressions definitely matter, and a strong preseason probably could bring us. That's why I was saying, like, when I was asked, let me ask you this real quick question before I follow up with what I had to say. What is the bar that he has to meet for next season? What is the bar that what is the bar that Iraola has to meet next season for you?
Well, for me is which direction we're going. You've seen with Arnie Slot, the games where we were just playing first gear football and passing side to side. I'm going to see more than that. And you can see that with the Klopp West Brom game 1-1. The energy was there. Fans were celebrating. They went around the pitch and celebrated. And we knew which way we were heading with him. And that's what he has to do as well. Give us direction. Which way are you going with this? Which way are we going to play? What sort of energy are you bringing to the players? You've got to see that, you know? An identity. That's the word.
Identity. Okay. Wow. I just saw something that is about Atletico Madrid have rejected a 150 million euro bid from Real Madrid for forward Julian Alvarez. Interesting.
Say that again, bro.
Atletico Madrid have rejected a 150 million euro bid from Real Madrid for forward Julian Alvarez.
Oh, that was the player then, yeah?
Yeah, I saw that.
It's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
especially since Barcelona would like to get him. Like, what does it say about Atletico Madrid? What are they doing?
Look, they got him for 80 odd. 80. So they make 70 odd million on it. He's 26.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a good player. I like him. But I can see that deal happening. But they're rivals, you know what I mean? I can see it happening. Like football, like some players just want to play for. Look at what's his name, Griezmann. He wanted to go and play for Barcelona. Came back to Madrid at the end, but yeah, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they're the top two dogs, So I think Alvarez will go. 150 is crazy though, but yeah.
Do you 150 is pretty crazy. It is. But I mean, who would want to give, if Atletico Madrid were to sell one of the, if not their best player, to Real Madrid, that would be next settings.
Yeah. That's like us selling to Everton or the other way around. Yeah, Everton selling to us. That'd be crazy.
Or would you? There is a player that's on a free. Would you go for Lewandowski, since they're talking about forwards? Mm-hmm. Would you bring Lewandowski to the team?
We need a striker, so why not? For a year, see how it goes. Never played in the Premiership, but he's a goal scorer. He's on a free.
Mm-hmm. Wait, that's not true. I saw the report saying that Atletico Madrid are asking for 500 million euros. That might be his release clause, but not his. That's definitely not the price they expect to receive for Alvarez. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to talk about, we're talking about forwards. You wouldn't do that for Lewandowski. That's okay and good. But there is a forward I wanted to talk about that is retiring. Football has a funny way of measuring greatness, I think. Some players are remembered because of statistics, some because of trophies, some because they wore the captain's armband. And then there are players like Divock Origi, Lord Divock, players whose numbers never fully explain what they meant to a football club unless you lived it. This week, reports emerged that Divock Origi has officially retired from professional football at just 31 years old, bringing an end to one of the most, I'll go as far as to say, unique careers any Liverpool player has enjoyed in the modern era. I say unique because if we're building the perfect striker in a laboratory, Divock probably wouldn't have been your first choice. He wasn't always the quickest. He wasn't the most clinical over an entire season. He wasn't guaranteed a starting place. Yet somehow, whenever Liverpool needed a miracle, Divock Origi seemed to appear. Think about the moments. Barcelona, 4 goals down from the first leg. Obviously, Origi delivered. Champions League final, Liverpool needed someone to finish the job. Origi delivered. The Merseyside derby, Jordan Pickford's unforgettable mistake. Guess who's there? Divock Origi. Late winners, cup goals, European nights. Some footballers score goals. Divock scored memories. And perhaps that's why he'll always occupy a unique place in Liverpool history. There's a famous quote from Jurgen Klopp that perfectly captures what supporters feel, and it became a meme, and that is, football without Origi is nothing. And it's going from being a joke to being a chant to eventually becoming part of Liverpool folklore. And you don't have to be the greatest player to become unforgettable. Sometimes you simply need to be unforgettable when the biggest moments arrive. And that's exactly what Divock Origi was, a player who embraced his role, stayed ready, never publicly complained, repeatedly produced when Liverpool needed him most. Those players are rarer than we often appreciate. Let me bring Origi into this conversation. Let me bring him into this conversation. Because the man, if we're going to talk about the man, we might as well, let the man join us on stage here. And when you think of Divock Origi, what's the first moment that comes to your mind? This is for the panel. What's the first moment that you think of when it comes to Divock Origi? JK?
He's the man. What a guy. Retired pretty early though. But all in all, what a guy, man. He gave us enough celebrations. Scored in the Champions League final. The famous quick corner taken quickly. He did a lot of things. Everton game when Van Dijk's shot hit the bar. So a lot of things, man. I was just disappointed he didn't crack on with it after he left us. Like he went to Forest and didn't settle, and never really settled anywhere. Milan, I don't know. At Liverpool was his prime years, bro, with a lot of players. But for me, all in all, what a shining, what a guy. One player he didn't know how to celebrate properly after he scored.
Donate, what's the moment you think of?
Dortmund.
Oh, Dortmund. Okay.
Dortmund, yeah, he was quality in both legs, and if it wasn't for that idiot Funes Mori that injured him, I think Sacco, I think we would have won that Europa League final in Seville. Yeah, we won it because the problem with Origi is, JK is right. Whenever he's in a little run of form, then an injury pick up. You go back to square, and I think Klopp, as good as a front three, I don't think he used him enough as he should have when he was on a run of form. But it's a shame. I agree, Jake. He's tiring at that age. It's him. And similar with Sturridge. I don't think Sturridge has ever officially renounced his retirement. They just kind of come out of the game just way too early. Again, I think there's still a player there, but maybe he's not getting the breaks. He just had enough. So yeah. Well,
I think it's probably a little bit of what you just said at the end. Maybe it's just it's I know of players that could probably play for many years beyond when they chosen to hang up their boots, and sometimes it's just a matter of you just don't want to. You've amassed enough money. You've maybe missed enough. You've definitely have unfortunately missed too many birthdays, maybe for your children, or seeing them grow up, and it gets to the point where you're just like, or it can get as simple as you just don't want to wake up and have to like, go through the rigorous training measurements that you have to be at that elite level. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to kind of like sleep in and not have to worry about, training or people critiquing your play every moment and every step that you make. Um, but that's the beauty of a cult hero. Like every supporter has a different favorite memory. Um, Very few players create the kind of emotional connection uh, that these cult heroes do. And I think that that's just the thing is that, I remember Steve Nicol used to absolutely persecute Divock Origi by saying, by questioning his character and questioning him with his commitment to the game because he was comfortable not being, in his words at least, he was comfortable not being a starter. He was comfortable being a squad player or a player that would play from time to time. And it's why sometimes when we get into these conversations, I think I know the nuances of it all can be definitely argued from different angles, but it's why I think that sometimes players' worth can be measured by more than just did they have a certain amount of goals or did they have a certain amount of assists. Like there are some players that not only bring you memories and moments, but they bring you they because of the sheer volume sometimes of the memories that they bring you, you look past the fact of, yeah, they weren't a 20 plus goal scorer. They weren't, something along those lines. You know what I mean? You guys agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. Fair enough.
Okay. Okay. Not a resounding not a resounding mark of agreement there, but I got you. Where does Divock Origi rank among Liverpool's greatest cult heroes? Not legends. I'm not saying he's some type of like not trying to ask you to rank against Steve or or something like that. Where would you rank him amongst our cult heroes? You
I call
probably
him a
could.
legend for me. He's probably number one spot, bro.
Oh, you rank him as a legend.
Yeah, of course. What a guy.
I'd say a legendary cult hero, but I don't know if he's not. He's a
So,
legend.
come on. When you think of Origi, you only think of the good times.
You
He's a
do.
legend for me. What he did for us, being a sub most of the time, knowing that if there's Bobby, Mane, and Salah up top, you ain't going to get a start, really. And he still carried on, bro. Yeah, man. He's great for us.
Okay. Are you on the same page, Latte, as JK? He's a legend.
Not for me, no. But hero, yes.
I'll go in between and say he's a legendary cult hero. That's my point. That's what I would say.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess legacy isn't always measured by appearances. Sometimes it's measured um, by that special feeling, the goosebumps you get by, by seeing goals scored when you thought they were impossible to come about. And Divock Origi definitely gave us plenty of those moments. I would definitely think that he gave us plenty of those moments. It is a wild case where his career has now come to an end, at least as a active player. It is coming to an end as he has announced his retirement. I saw someone in a chat. I think it was in Copper's chat. They suggested, no, it was Cop TV, and it was suggesting that maybe we could go bring Origi back since we're in need of a forward. It's interesting. It's interesting. If the guys lost the urge to fight, and I mean urge to go through the rigorous steps it takes, then maybe it's best that we allow for him to go, ride off into the sunset in essence. So I'm going to ask who becomes the face of Liverpool is my next segment. And I wanted to dive into that because that's like the major part. We'll see how far into the show. We're in 1 hour, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, something like that. We can make it through these two segments because I do have one other segment that I wanted to get into. But for almost a decade, Liverpool's identity was incredibly easy to define. We all knew that. We all talked about all the players that we spoke on earlier: Virgil, Ali, Robbo, Mane, Salah. Those players, Trent. Those players were simply stars, and they made the constellation that was Liverpool. But football doesn't stand still forever, and managers leave, players leave, legends retire, captains grow older. And it ends up being a question of who will be replacing them, who will follow in their footsteps. I think Liverpool quietly arrived at that moment, not because the current squad lacks quality. I think that's far from it, despite what some people think, but because supporters are beginning to look beyond just today. We're starting to look at it as, do we have the foundations of players to move forward and have that sustainable group the way we did for almost a decade? There are 5 names that I will say, and I'll ask for JK's top 5 and Nolante's top 5, but there are 5 names that could be the core for this team, and that is Rio, Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, Ryan Gravenberch, and then there's a question mark for the 5th. Who can fill and be that 5th? It could be Dami Szoboszlai. Who are your 5 players that you would immediately say stand out as being the future pillars of this team? I see JK's off on mute, so I'll ask you first.
I agree with everyone you said. I could add Kirkes to that list. Yeah.
Who would be your 5 then?
So Isaac Wirtz, Rio, Kirkes.
Okay, 2 more.
I want to say Frimpong, but I'm not sure, man. I want him to be, Yeah, let's go Frimpong.
Okay. You got 1 more.
1 more?
You said,
let's go.
You said Kirkes, Frimpong, Wirtz, and Isak.
And Rio. Yeah.
And Rio. Okay. Delante, who are your 5?
Wirtz, Isak, Grab, Kirkes, and Leone.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Oh.
It is a big question as to who is going to be, the cornerstone of our next defensive arrangement in the back line. Trying to see if the chat chimed in on that question. I don't think so. I just think there's you can put together names. Rio, the academy icon. You could put together Florian Wirtz, we wouldn't call him a wonder boy, but like as in the superstar, Alexander Isak. He has the ability to become Liverpool's headline striker if everything clicks. I think like if what I just saw from the highlights, at least I didn't watch the game he played, but from the highlights, if we get that Isak that's performing right now for his international team or his national team, it is trouble for the Premier League. Everyone knows that I think Ravenberg is capable of controlling matches. I've called him the foundation, basically. And then, the fifth player. I originally was going to say this name would have been interesting. You said Frimpong, JK.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, like, what would have been my choice if he were healthy? Would have been Connor Bradley, surprisingly. Maybe Curtis Jones could have been thrown in there. You could say Thomas Bosley, like I said earlier. But I thought at one point I was thinking that Connor Bradley could be the resilience, the guy that that has fought his way into this lineup by just wasn't a guaranteed starter, but like as in was a player that had to work his way into the lineup. At one point was seen as maybe the heir apparent, if not a better choice than Trent Alexander-Arnold when he was even here. He had work ethic, everything supporters love, but it is a shame that he's been kind of sidelined with his injuries. But only one or perhaps two will eventually become the face of the club. And that's, I guess, a different conversation. But it is a question of who becomes that it player for us next. Like 5 years from today, who do you believe is Liverpool's best player? We're in the year 2031. Who are we saying is Liverpool's star? In your opinion, at least. Malante, I see you're off mute, so I'll ask you first.
2031. Works.
Okay. Florian Wirtz. Flo, Ryder.
Flo, John.
Okay. JK, 5 years into the future.
Yep, Wirtz as well.
You see Wirtz. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Okay. It's going to be very interesting. I'm hoping that, we can hold on to Florian Wirtz. I know it's not going to be easy, but I know that's something that I hope that we can do. And what I mean by hold on to him, being like he's going to be tempted to leave Liverpool, I'm sure, by other clubs.
Yeah,
5 years is a long time.
Yeah.
In football.
I don't think any of us expect him to stay. If we buy out 10, he's doing the business, and we get a massive offer, then, so be it.
Is it because you think Florian Wirtz has the highest ceiling, or do you think it's because he is the player that is already there? And this is going to continue to hold levels.
Well, I think he'll continue. Obviously, he's had a poor first season. That's been great. Yeah, this bit. I just think, he's 22. I think he'll learn from the season just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously be better for it. And again, it's different. He has to readjust again because he's a different manager. But it will be a manager that will let him express himself, I believe. So, yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. So I just think, yeah.
Okay. Well, Liverpool supporters love debating signings. I know that. That's the majority of these episodes, not our episodes, but the majority of content online tend to be debating signings, who should arrive, who should leave, who deserves another opportunity. Um, they're built around a core of players normally. Every great Liverpool side has one or has had one, each had a heartbeat. The question now is who becomes the heartbeat of Liverpool? Who do you think is going to become the heartbeat of Liverpool going forward? Who do you think is going to be the player that kind of is the lightning rod for this team? It could be Grav, it could be Flo, it could be Isak, it could be Rio,
Be of this team. Ooh.
it could be Dominic.
Yeah. Maybe Sobar, I'm guessing. Sobar.
Sabasli, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, JK was about to answer, but I guess he's not going to. Okay.
Which player? What was the question, bro?
Who's going to be the heartbeat of this team going forward?
I want it to be Wirtz for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. I want a manager who knows how to play him. So he could be the main guy,
Mm-hmm. Okay. There is someone that does bring there is someone that brings that can bring a shock or could shock a heart back to life, and then at times could maybe even make that heart go flatline. There is talk that there's a player interested in coming home. And the big question now is, should Liverpool bring Darwin Nunez back to Liverpool? I think this is one of the most unexpected stories of the summer, primarily because just 12 months ago, after living in Liverpool, there are now reports that suggest Darwin Nunez could be available on a free transfer if or since his contract has been terminated. And perhaps even more remarkably is that Darwin himself welcomes the return to Anfield. He is actually open, incredibly open to returning to the place where he called home. Now, I know this is going to divide the fan base immediately. I'm sure there's going to be some that are for this. There's going to be some that are animately against it. I'm sure we're going to hear biases in both directions. But the moment some supporters hear the name Darwin Nunez, they remember missed chances, frustrating finishes, that player who, in their words, never quite became that elite striker Liverpool hoped he would. But I remember something else. I remember a football player who never hid. A football player who never cheated the badge. A footballer who played every minute with emotion, intensity, and a willingness to sacrifice himself for the team. And today, we're having a very different conversation than we were 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago, Liverpool had spent around 85 million, around 80 million, something like that, to sign Darwin. Expectations were enormous. And every missed chance felt like a reminder of the price tag. Today, there is no transfer fee. I think that should really be factored into this equation, into this conversation, because that should matter. If the 85 million that he was on his back mattered then, the fact that he has a free transfer now should matter immensely, because financially this makes tremendous sense. Liverpool wouldn't be committed to obviously some 70 million pound striker or 80 million pound striker, even 100 million plus striker. They'd be acquiring a Premier League proven forward without paying a transfer fee. It would allow Richard Hughes and the recruitment team to direct those funds towards positions we deem greater and more important at the time. We're not saying that you're not saying that Darwin's going to be our starter. Well, what we are saying is that he couldn't become an impact sub. He can be a player that can be a spot player for an Isak who has a tendency to be unavailable. And I think the timing is interesting because obviously Hugo Ekitike is expected to miss a good chunk of the season. And who knows how and what he will return when he does return, what his level will be. I think Darwin wouldn't be arriving to carry the attack on his shoulders. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he's there to be a spark. He'd be returning to complement, to compete with Isak, provide depth across multiple competitions, and also maybe even depth at different positions, considering he can play the left side. And if you really think about it, Iraola, a player, thinks this is a player who can be valuable. After the Bournemouth game, where he had possibly one of his best goals of his career, Iraola went up and physically embraced him, saying that was a fantastic goal. He understands Anfield. He understands the pressure. He understands what it means to wear the shirt. There wouldn't be an adjustment period that you'd have to go through with Darwin. He's already gone through it. I think this matters more than people realize because I think Darwin could be a return to not only the player that could bring you heartbreak, but also could bring you joy. But a player that is going to play the Liverpool way. And I think it's important, very, very important to remember that because statistically, the criticism has often overlooked what Darwin actually produced. I was in the chat, or no, in the chat. Excuse me. I was in the chat. I think I was in the chat. I think it was live when they were going with this, and it was Cop TV, a channel I liked, AGT, and with Doyle. And they were going back and forth, and AGT was all on it. He was all for it. But Doyle wasn't. And Doyle said some things that definitely, pushed my buttons a little bit because I don't know and don't agree when people say and use the words, "Oh, he's a crap player," or he can't score. It's weird when you hear that. It's weird when you hear that because I'll say this. I know you're going to push back. I know, and you can. But why I say it's weird to hear that statement is because in 2023, 2024, he finished as Liverpool's second leading scorer. He consistently ranked among the Premier League's leaders for expected goals, shots, chance generations. Yes, he missed opportunities. I'm not saying he didn't, but he also created an extraordinary high volume of them simply from his movement. And not only did he create high volume for himself, he created high volume for those around him because of the chaos he brought, because of the impact that he would bring going forward. You can't miss chances unless you're getting into the right positions. We're talking about a team where sometimes our strikers barely get a few touches, and they have the capable stance to create on their own. That was a very big issue. But when you come into this conversation, most times people don't want to delve into addressing that. Now, again, I'm not saying that he's the most accurate scorer of all time. He wasn't. But yet he did create opportunities. He did create chances, and sheer volume alone produced goals for him. And I'll even go as far as to say some of those goals were very memorable goals that were game winners for us. But people often look right through that. And I think that can be somewhat of disingenuous, to say the least, when it comes to a player that, again, loves the team, loves the club, loves the supporters, and for the most part, the online support is either on the right or on the left, but for the most part, the match-going fans all loved the player because he did give everything and anything on the pitch. I'll ask the panel, if Darwin Nunez is going to be available on a free transfer, would you bring him back to Liverpool? Or is that chapter closed and you're moving on?
Bro, that's the $1 million question right there, bro. Mans are losing it over that question right there. So it's a bit more dangerous for me or Nalante to answer it. I ain't saying fuck all.
I think that's having a big.
Are they losing it in the chat or? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Darwin, you know that, bro. I was a big fan of his. I loved his energy. You know what this makes me laugh about people, fans, football fans. I've played football at a good level. Nalante, you, Fozzie, and how can you say a player is crappy shit, this, that, and the other? And I'm thinking, Darwin would rip you lot to shreds. You wouldn't be able to catch him.
No.
It's like when you played the game and you respect the game, you ain't say that. Like for me, I would say Harry Kane's a poor football player. Best in the world at finishing, though. It's like you can say he's poor, or he's not great, or whatever, or highlight a weakness in his game and stuff like. But that level of respect and that, Darwin gave 100%, bro, and we lacked that last season with Slot, a bit of heart, a bit of passion, a guy who fucking runs. You know what I mean?
Right. I've seen some of the comments too. I just saw that we have the streets and the streets have arrived. So
We got Rasta Crab.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Here's one. Interesting.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does. I got on Doyle's case. I'd argue that too. You could argue that as well. You could certainly argue that. And he would work. And Trudon, I know Trudon doesn't. Most players are trash.
It's clear. It's a bit like
Trudon's Pele, you know.
Yeah,
He's Pele. Trudon.
the Darwin thing is like the Curtis Jones thing. It's quite split. I'm surprised. I am surprised actually.
Oh, there is a definite split. Why I was bringing up the Cop TV thing is because, both of the two panelists, one thought yes, definitely all day, every day he's saying, and then the other panel was like no, he's calling him crap and trash and that he was he couldn't score goals, and I'm like, well, if he couldn't score goals, then how did he end up being the second leading goal scorer on our team in 23? Explain to me how that makes sense. Did our whole team in 2023, 2024, did our whole team just suck? Was our whole team trash other than Mohamed Salah? I would like to know. Because that's what it was. That's what we're talking about. If he was trash, tell me why he's the starting striker for a World Cup Uruguay team. If he was trash, tell me why Mohamed Salah said that other than Bobby, there's no other striker that I enjoy playing with more than Darwin Nunez. If he was trash, why is it that all those people Bielsa, Salah. Why is their football eye test so far jaded and obviously diluted? I'm asking that as a serious and sincere question because, like, when you really think about it, I'm not saying that he is Lewandowski. But what I am saying is he is a relentless presser. He puts out massive, massive chaos when it comes to a back line. He creates channels and opportunities for his wingers. He creates on his own and has incredible pace. Now, all those attributes don't correlate to trash, don't correlate to a player that can't see or get on the pitch. He wasn't going to be a possession type striker. I get that. He wasn't going to fit with Slot. But he was certainly a good enough player to bring in when you needed a player to bring in energy, an assertion of adrenaline into the team. When that heartbeat had to pick up a beat to make that back line move. It's very similar to my conversation. I know people will say with Elliott, I've said that before, but with some players, I think that it matters. Oh, okay. Here comes Lee. Oh, no. Lee does not. I don't think Lee's a big Darwin fan either. So go ahead, Lee. How are you doing today?
No, I like Darwin. If you put together the greatest hits of Darwin's best goals, mate, he'd look like the best striker in the world. Or maybe not that, but he would look good, wouldn't he, if you put together all his best strikes for all his teams. Especially us. He scored some great ones for us, but it was the ones he missed, wasn't it, with Darwin?
Mm-hmm. We just got finished talking about Divock Origi, for instance. Divock Origi gave us moments, right? Some are calling him legend. Some are calling him a cult hero. Some are calling him a legendary cult hero. Okay? And I'm not saying that he has produced the volume of consistency of a Bobby Firmino. He's playing a different style of a striker than a Bobby Firmino is. But all things considering that we're looking for a pressing forward, would Darwin not be a relatively reasonable choice for free? That's the key word too, free.
It is, because like the other positions that we've got to buy for this summer, it's do we have enough money to actually buy a striker? So whoever we may or may not get in that position, like, might well have to be free, so we can spend the money in the positions where it's more needed.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm saying, and I get that. Rasta. I mean, for some players, why I'm also saying is that for the same amount of energy that some people put into trying to belittle the players, I just think that, like, at the time, I'm willing to admit and also address that he was not the most accurate goal scorer. He just wasn't. But yet, he was a player that could get volume of shots on a volume of shots or opportunities, and that can have an impact on a game that can open up the game for his counterparts on his wings, and he can score. Obviously, he can. At some points and sometimes he can score. I just don't think he was it wasn't as if like he was, stealing money out there, though, the way that some people make it out to be. That's all. Well, I just think if I'll say like this too, considering that Iraola does not only appreciate Darwin, but he's been on record of saying how he rates Darwin as a player. Do you think maybe, Lee, that Iraola could get more out of Darwin Nunez than maybe Jurgen Klopp or even Arne Slot ever could?
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. I don't see it as something that's actually going to happen, but it's an interesting proposition because we do have a limited amount of funds. But I think we've got a limited amount of funds. I'd wish to believe otherwise, but we've got a limited amount of funds to buy players this summer, and with us already having spent so much money on Hugo and Alexander, and probably anyone that comes in might well have to be a free transfer.
It could be, and why I asked that question, and if JK or Nalante want to answer, they can too. But why I asked that question was because one of the unique things about, or one of the fond memories, I guess you could say, that a lot of us remember was the memory of when Darwin Nunez was standing in the sideline, was being called in to be a late substitute, and Jurgen Klopp had tried to tell him something, and it didn't really, I guess whatever Jurgen said, it didn't really register, and Diogo walked up to Darwin and whispered a couple words to him, and Darwin immediately knew what he said, what it was that he was meant to go out there and do. And Jurgen Klopp looked at him like, what's going on, And why I'm bringing this up is because we're about to bring in a Spanish-speaking coach, someone that's not going to have some language barrier to get over and can communicate directly with the player. Could be a good thing. Could be a good thing. What are some of these people saying? John Stones is free. Do we go for him too? Says Rasta Crab. Does John Stones and that's why I say it's not a.
It's interesting actually because John Stones is a really good centre back.
Exactly. I'm as long as he's fit, I'm not against it. I'm not against it, but he would have to be fit, and that's taking a leap of faith. And the difference is that's why I sometimes when you hear the discussions, though I'm not going to say it's as far as maybe apples and oranges, but you're talking about Darwin Nunez, who for the most part of his career with Liverpool was available. So the one thing that John Stones and Darwin Nunez do not share is their availability. And that would be a major factor in whether you go for John Stones, not whether you go for Darwin. Or maybe it is actually. You could argue that maybe the reason why you would go for Darwin is because of his availability. My panel is quite quiet right now. I guess they know that I like Darwin Nunez.
No, I'm in agreement with you there that we do need some freebies or bargains or something. I'm not sure how many signings we'll actually make this summer, like, but for me, we need 4 minimum. I think we need 4 players coming in at the bare minimum, and then beyond that, like, it's going to make it harder for us, like, throughout the season. So I'm not sure how many players we'll actually see come in, like, but I think, there's definitely a shout for bringing in players on the 3 who could maybe plug a gap for a while, maybe not be like. Do you know what I'm saying? Not be like you come in and plug a gap for a while, like so. That's definitely a shout. Like, it's an idea anyway. Like, I'm sure it's one we'll think of, like, throughout the summer.
It's similar again, like I said, to like we were speaking on ringlets. One of the reasons why I'm interested in keeping him is because that's one less player we have to go out and try to find a perfect fit for on the team. We could bring back a player that has played well in a very similar system, and not have to be going out and paying some enormous fee on the open market.
It's a topic, bro, that it's just mad how we just got a new manager in. A few days later, we're all fucking arguing about Darwin Nunez, man. What's going on here? It's just every show I see, the Liverpool ones, they're talking about Darwin bloody Nunez. I'd rather talk about the manager. Like, who we going to bring in? Like, now it's transfer sort of season. Now we could talk about players. Darwin Nunez. For me, the Darwin Nunez is the last thing on my mind. Why? Because when you look at the money we've got this window, we ain't going to use any of that money to bring a striker in.
We're not.
Okay.
We really have. I mean, there's only so much of. We spent heavily last season, but we had to get rid of or sell a lot of players to compensate and balance those heavy and large expenditures for high priced players. We spent over 200 million on just 2 strikers last season, one of which has an Achilles tear that won't be available probably for the majority of the season, and the other who wasn't available for a majority of last season.
There you go. We spent 200 million on 2 strikers, and we're not going to spend another 80 on anyone. The lad from PSG, the one who's always on the bench, that Portuguese lad, you can bring him in. He's going to cost you 70 million. If you ain't going to bring Harry Kane in, forget about it. Because for me, we need a DM, 2 wingers, a right back, a centre back, before we need a striker. We need a striker, yeah, of course, to help Isaac.
We just spent 200 million on 2 strikers.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do? Go out and spend another 100 million? Like, as in, strikers are not cheap. So if we're going to go quote unquote get the best. So hypothetically, we go out for Julian Alvarez, who I think is a good player, who I would love to see. I've been asking and wanting him to be a part of this team since we even contemplated it when we went for him when he was at Manchester City. And to get Julian Alvarez, it's going to cost us 150 million. Do you think we're going to spend 150 million on Julian Alvarez? I don't, and I would like to see the player join the team.
Yeah.
What player are we going to bring in that is on everyone's that checks everyone's boxes? Is Rasta Krabs the best player out there? Is Trudon's not trash? What player? I said of all love. I'm not picking fun of you.
No, it's their opinion, bro. At the end of the day, like everyone's like, you like coffee or you like tea.
Yeah.
You like peanut butter sandwiches or tuna mayonnaise. I don't know, whatever you want. Everyone's got their own taste. But for me, respect. Like, I don't care. You can not like Darwin Nunez, but when I see the attitude towards him, pisses me off. Because why? That guy gave 100%. He couldn't finish. That was his his problem. But other than that, he gave 100%. Compare that to other players in the game. Okay, you ain't getting that for free. You ain't getting that sort of energy. He was proper happy playing for Liverpool. He just didn't get regular starts, you know. But
Something that you mentioned, I remember too, that season is that much like a lot of us, you need rhythm. For the one thing you need is rhythm.
simple
As a striker,
as a number 9.
For a number 9, you cannot not have rhythm, and rhythm comes with appearances, with knowing you're going to start, with playing consistently.
Goalkeepers, centre backs, and strikers. Them 3 positions need to play regular to get into the rhythm of the game. And why Harry Kane and Haaland and Mbappe are always scoring goals, because they know every Wednesday, Saturday they're starting that game. Simple as. People like Darwin and whoever, like other sort of strikers, they know, oh, I'm not sure if I'm in the team. Straight away, their mind's not in the game.
Right.
That's
But
it.
the point is too, I mean, he's saying, nah, but we're really talking about Darwin 12, or of all the strikers in the world, there must be someone for cheap. Then tell me who it is.
What's cheaper than free?
Nothing's cheaper than free.
They're going to pay us to take Darwin, okay?
Exactly. There's nothing cheaper.
You're going to give
than
us 20
free.
million and Darwin. Okay.
What about Mbappe? How much do you reckon Mbappe cost us if we had to shell out?
150, easy.
We would have to pay money for Mbappe. Mbappe's not coming for free.
It would be nice if he could, like, if we could have free Mbappe. Like some of our fan base thought, like before he went to Madrid. Some poor deluded souls.
Mbappe would be a fantastic addition, I thought, or would think. He's a fan. He's one of the best players in the world. Does that mean that he's going to be one of the best players for Liverpool? That's another question. But there aren't many strikers out there that I think are available, to be honest with you, just in general. Let me see.
The standards are dropped.
Not the same, is it?
They're not the same.
They're not. There was this the Redmen TV. After the show, I'll share with you guys the thing that Redmen TV did, because I started trying to do it myself. They did a challenge basically, and maybe we can do something similar where they made you the director of football, and basically they had this thing where they created somewhat of a game, if you want to call it, but a spreadsheet type situation where you could pick players that you be willing to sell. You could pick players that you would be wanting to buy for whatever the market value was, and then you could see what the actual team composition would look like after you've done all your buying and selling. And some are asking, who was it is available for strikers? The strikers that were available were Junior Kroppi, great player, absolutely, going for 80 to 100 million currently right now.
Mad.
How much would Senior Kroppi be? If Junior Kroppi is that much, how much would Senior Kroppi be?
Maybe double. I don't know. Christian Kofane, right? Decent player, right? 65 million is what they would want for him. Or Marcus Leonardo, 64 million is what they're looking for him. And if you want, you could get Randall Kolo Muani from the Spurs for maybe 35 million. He asked me for some names. There's some names. And then there's Lewandowski. Lewandowski is free, but if you think Lewandowski is going to be able to be capable of playing and really contributing to a pressing system, the heavy metal football that we all want to see come back. If you think Lewandowski at How old is Lewandowski?
38, I think.
Yeah, Lewandowski, going on 40 years old, is going to be capable of going in 4 competitions and playing that style of football. More power to you. I would love to see Lewandowski in the Liverpool jersey. Absolutely would love to see him in the Liverpool kit. I think that would last all about 3 games before he broke down.
Would be good, wouldn't it? Instead of scoring against us when we knocked Bayern out. I think he's past that now, isn't he? Like for the Premier League.
Unfortunately.
He's still got goals in him.
He's still got goals, certainly.
Yeah.
You can bring him in as to be like to be
impact striker, yeah.
Yeah, impact striker for sure.
He's going to cost you about 350 grand a week, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah, but those are the choices that you're asking for choices. Those are some of the strikers that were given in, at least in the scenario of the Redmond's little sporting director, exercise. Those were the strikers you were given to choose from. You were given to choose from Darwin Nunez, Muani, Leonardo, Cafane, Lewandowski, and Krupi as choices of players you could bring in. And keep in mind, the only players that are free on that list are Lewandowski and Darwin Nunez. Now we're playing FIFA Online. Maybe you go for Lewandowski. Absolutely. But we're trying to field an actual team that's going to have the availability, the energy, the intensity, the levels of the commitment that you're going to need to contribute in a Iraola system. I think the question isn't who to bring in out of those names. I just think it's like it just comes down to like, I don't think that Lewandowski could maintain what you would want to see out of him for an entire season. That's just my opinion, but maybe you differ. And again, by doing that, by going for a free contract for a player, you are freeing up other funds for other positions. You're freeing up other funds for other positions. I'm still working out. Okay, before the Nalante was sitting. I had Nalante. Unfortunately, I was being a bad host. Nalante was sitting in the green room, and I was trying to figure out my list here. So I was going to see if I could get it together to show you guys. But it's interesting. By getting Darwin Nunez, it freed up other selections on this list of players that they offered that I think would be phenomenal players to have on our team. You can get your Yan Diamandes at 100 million. They even have Elise on here, but I mean, he's at 165 million, so that's not happening. But they have Rayon on here. You can get your Rayons. You know, you can get players that can answer some of the things that we need to do with this team. So, all right. So, I think Crab is already checked out because he's probably tired of talking, berating Darwin Nunez and those of us that rate him or appreciate him. What do I have in store? So it's already at the 2-hour mark. Is there anything you guys want to talk about before I get into our moment of Red Zen?
I would like to say I am excited about what's in the future for us. I don't think I would have been this excited if Arnie was still in the hot seat. But I'm excited anyway, so that's all good, isn't it? Like, you know, let the excitement like ripple around the world. Like, you know what I mean? We're on a new era. We're having a new era, and it's all going to be good, hopefully.
Okay. That's pretty noble to speak on.
Yes. And you have eyes on for Liverpool. Something different for us. A different way of playing that doesn't bore us to bloody death.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's all looking good. It's all looking rosy from where I am right now.
All right. How about anything from you guys? Do you guys want to talk about? Maybe something on your mind?
Come on, lads. Speed up.
Yeah, JK, Nalante.
Yeah. Absolutely, to be honest. We just have to see. In terms of your guy, Mr. Nunez, I mean, you want to upset people, don't you, tonight, Toff, don't you? You want to set the apple cart with Mr. Nunez. Look, end of the day, if he's free, I mean, for a year we need a striker. That's or someone up top, because Ekitike is not going to be there, and if it's so been Darwin, it is what it is. I'll just be laughing for the meltdown, the crash outs. Definitely be a crash out. Oh my god, that'd be fun.
Crash out. Yeah.
Well, the way I'm looking at things constantly lately is like it's a sunny thing. So I don't think we're gonna have to like bring anyone. Iraola will be such a good coach. Sorry, that he'll like sort all our ills. We'll have fuck all to worry about. Like within a few months, it's taken maybe a few months to bed in, but then after that it'll be sunshine.
Yeah. Yes, he does have 125 million release clause. So, yeah, he's a heck of a player. Incredible upside. 125 million. He's all yours. Look, as we close today's show, I wanted to leave you with something that reminds us why football is about. Why it's about so much more than wins, losses, and transfer rumors, or even despising or hate towards former players. Because ahead of Scotland's World Cup campaign, let me bring this in as well. Ahead of Scotland's campaign, bring in this picture for you guys because it is touching. Stuff to get through too. Ahead of Scotland's World Cup campaign, Robbo shared an emotional story about his late friend and teammate Diogo Jota through FIFA's Letters That Unite campaign. Jota's widow wrote to Robbo that by reaching the World Cup, he would be fulfilling a dream they had both once shared. Robbo said that when he steps onto the pitch, he'll feel like he's carrying that dream for both of them. It's a powerful reminder that while we spend hours debating lineups, tactics, and transfer fees, forgetting about some of the intangibles or some of the nuances that really do make this game the beautiful game. This game is ultimately built on people and relationships. It's also made me think of something that James Milner once said. I'll bring up that too. And James Milner once said this about Divock Origi. He said, "What would anyone's life be like without Divock Origi? Will we have won the Champions League without him? Possibly not." Milner laughed about how he reflected on his on how different they were as personalities. He said, "We're polar opposites." He said, "But that's exactly what made Liverpool's dressing room so special. Different people different stories, one shared purpose. That's what makes this club different. It's never just about the football. At least for me, it's not. There's more to it than just wins and losses, and it's about the people who wear the shirt, the friendships they build, the memories they leave behind. That means something because that carries a true essence, a true substance, something that will last long past you knowing how many goals a player scored or how many times they missed the goal. You'll Never Walk Alone isn't just something Liverpool supporters sing, I think. It's something we live. And these players that have brought us memories and moments like this, these players that have become brothers on this team, become a family, those are the reasons why you say, yes, I could welcome that player back. Yes, I wish that player does well in the World Cup. Yes, I carry that player's dream with me. Sometimes you have to take a step back and just remember those things, I think, personally. But then again, I'm a football romantic. So
Divock's golden moment for me was not the Champions League final goal, but was what he'd done to Everton twice. It was obviously the Pickford goal. That goes without saying. That was probably like the funniest thing in the last 1,000 years ever. Was this goal against Everton when Pickford misjudged that flight of the ball.
yeah.
The Marco Silva was Everton boss, and we done them 5-2. And Divock scored. I think he scored 2 of the first 3 goals. Like, and we just blammed them. It was dead funny. And the next day, Marco Silva was sacked.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories right there on this picture of Divock. A lot of memories that he was integral in.
Old Pulse hero, mate. I mean, if ever the name was like fucking, if ever the name was useful, it's for Divock. Like, just for those 2 derby things alone. And the other stuff, like, he brought a certain sort of skills, didn't he, with him? And the one thing that does me head in that I can't get rid of, and I have to say, is when he was fouled at Man United and they scored after it. Remember it? When one of them fucking kicked him on the leg, like, it was dead obvious, like, and that ref just played on. That done me fucking head in, mate. It ripped us off badly at Old Trafford.
Well, as much as that was a rip-off, I still say him being able to kiss that Champions League, him being able to lift, be a part of a team that can lift a Premier League title. He's been there for a lot of moments. Him being able to.
I remember when Klopp came in. When Klopp came in, like he said, I tried to buy Origi at Dortmund, but we couldn't buy him. And he went, I'm glad I've got him here now. He said, we'll have some fun with him. And we did. Yeah, that was his words. We'll have some fun with him, like, now. And we had a lot of fun with him, mate. I mean, the trophies were coming in, weren't they? The games come thick and fast. And he was riding the thick of it, weren't he?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting that Divock Origi and Darwin Nunez both wore the number 27. Interesting. Numbers. Sometimes those numbers. Numerology, people sometimes look at those things as having some meaning. But you guys, what do you guys want to say before we bounce out?
I want to say yippee. I support Liverpool, and so does everybody else, like in the chat or on the panel. It's fucking good team to support. It is. Come on.
There you go. Yippee. Yippee-ki-yay. All right. Nalante or JK, what you guys want to say?
Nalante?
Yeah, JK, yeah, big up the chat. Everyone, good turn up crowd. Hey, like the regulars, you know. Few names I see, name whoever I don't see in here. Big up yourself. Go like, share, subscribe. I will be doing a video in the next 10 minutes. Just
Oh
about
wow!
Rebel.
Wait, make sure that they can hear you say that.
So, I will be doing a video on my bit in the next 10 minutes about Rebel and about Iraola taking over. So we do that in the next 10 minutes. And yeah, man, just
Can you put the link in? I don't have the. I don't know. I don't have the capability of moving you onto it. But
sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll put it in the chat. And yeah, just pick up everyone. Let this channel grow. Like I said, man, the hard work's been put on by 12 and all of us. Like I said, let this channel grow and prosper. And yeah, man, we move. And yeah, we see what's going to happen. And then World Cup season starts, and that's going to be a nice breakaway.
yeah, less than 48 hours away from the kickoff of the World Cup.
I'll put it in there.
When I was a kid, I used to do that thing where you buy the paper and you can get like a poster where it says every game, and then you get a pen and fill in all the games. I used to like that when I was a kid. Yes.
Yeah, same. That was good quality. Yeah.
Okay. JK, you want to say something?
Bro. World Cup starts sort of tomorrow.
Well, you technically, yeah. But not
for me.
For you,
I'm in the future, bro.
Right.
I'll put Nalante's link in the chat so you can check his video out in 10. But actually, just check it out later when it comes out. I'll put my link in there as well. I'll put a playlist in there. I did a playlist today on YouTube of some hip hop tunes. So I'll put my link in there. You can I ain't finished it, but I'll put about 7-8 songs already up in there. You can check it out. And let's make a deal, everyone. Let's not talk about Darwin Nunez again until he signs.
Let's talk about the soon-to-be bouncing LFG, which is going to happen under Andoni Iraola. I just know. So there. Let me say this.
Okay.
Well then.
Go ahead.
We are going to be brought back to life. Even if it takes a while, it might take him a while to resuscitate the corpse of what was there previously. But I'm sure we've got the right man. I know it now. I know it. In my heart, I know it. My spidey senses are tingling. I know it. We've got the right man.
Well, you heard it here first. Lee's spider senses are tingling.
That's what I'm saying. I'm really sort of... The vibes changed since he's sort of been announced. There's a few people not really happy, but at the end of the day, I think this guy's got a lot of depth in him, and it'd be exciting to see who he brings in and stuff. Now, let's sort of get ready for the World Cup, man.
Yeah,
I hope it's a good one.
I hope it's a good one too. It's moving fast and furious. I'm hoping it's.
I've experienced a World Cup in Germany, and like, bro, it's amazing, the buzz the whole country's in. You know what I mean? I hope it's that for you as well.
Yeah, this World Cup's going to be very interesting with it being in 3 different countries.
That's they've got fancy for that now, haven't they? Have them in a few different countries, like. Back in the day, it was USA 94, Mexico 86. So Canada's getting a bit of the game now, innit? Canada's getting included this time. I think for at least 1 or 2 games. Is it 1 or is it 2?
No, there's going to be a few. They're going to be more than 1 or 2 games.
There's going to be more than that. Well, I like Canada. It's a great bloody name as well, Canada. I like it and all that stuff, but you know what I mean?
There you go. You've got your own brethren to thank for that, I think. So there you go. How about that? Okay.
No, I thought it was just one of the main bits in Canada. There's Saskatchewan, Quebec, Toronto. What's that one on the East Coast? The main one.
Montreal, Vancouver.
It's one of those great Native American names, Manitoba, Saskatchewan.
Manitoba, sure. Yeah. Some great names, some great places, and some very cold places when it comes to wintertime, but some very beautiful places all the same.
Yeah, that's what my friend said. Remember Barney used to, and in How I Met Your Mother, they're all ashamed to be Canadian, and he ended up being Canadian or something.
Now, loads of scouts just moved to Canada.
Canadian.
I like Leonard Cohen, the Canadian fella. Leonard Cohen, he's fucking brilliant. I love his songs so much.
Okay.
Massive songwriter. Leonard Cohen, Canadian.
There you go. All right. Yeah. I think Justin Bieber's Canadian too. So there you have it.
Well, we forget about him. Like there's others as well, but Leonard Cohen is the main one. There's other good like Canadian people in music as well, but Leonard Cohen's the main one. Like
there you go. All right. Well, then everyone go out and check out your Leonard Cohen discography if you can get a chance. Also, in a few minutes from now, go and link up with Nolante on his channel. He'll be whoops, I did the wrong one. Pick up AR, by the way. He'll be broadcasting. Is this his link, right?
That's mine.
Oh, that's
yours. My playlist out, and then Nalante's is the one before.
This is the one.
There's Nalante's.
Yeah, right there. So
subscribe to him as well.
Yep, and with that, we are out, people. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll try to make it a special show because we'll probably do like a World Cup preview since the World Cup is going to be on Thursday. I know that some of us are going. I've got a couple of watch-along parties to go to for the World Cup kickoffs. You know, being that it's Mexico, there's a lot of people. There are a lot of Mexican Americans here, so there's a lot of parties going on. All right,
they're my
go South Africa. How about that?
To win it, like but like I want them to win it because when we were younger, that like the Mexico '86 World Cup, I just got a connection with them and stuff. And I met a few Mexicans in my life, and they've always been sound and that. Smokey being number one and that, you know what I'm saying? But in general, I wish them well, man.
Yeah, Mexico '86 was the first one where I was old enough like to know football. Before that, I was just a kid. Like I didn't understand the nuances and that of football. Just like okay, well, Mexico '86 was the first ones, and fucking brilliant. We just moved to this house, like, and it was great. It was a great summer. Like Mexico '86 was on, like, and I enjoyed myself big time to that. Like,
I love the mascot. Remember that little mascot with the hat and the big mustache and that?
Well, save some of these stories for tomorrow, guys. Save for these stories tomorrow. We'll be talking about World Cup tomorrow. People, enjoy your evenings. I know it's late. I know it's morning for some. It's past midnight for others, like JK. So enjoy. If you can, just take a breath. You know, nothing's written in stone with any of these players that are going to be part of this team. So until tomorrow, let's just enjoy the fact the World Cup is on the horizon, and we'll all be able to hopefully come together and be able to enjoy this festival of football that is the World Cup. So until tomorrow, peace and up the Reds as always. We'll talk to you soon.